Hey, y'all, you're listening to Diagnosing Sitcoms and Movies, the DSM podcast. We help make mental health more comfortable by using Black movies and shows we know and love and culture to remove stigma. So join our convo with your host, Courtney Copeland, licensed mental health counselor.
And Dr. B, licensed professional counselor.
Guess what?
Chicken butt.
No, but we got our first donation.
Hey, what's up?
I know they like us. They really like us.
Ooh, we rich now.
Right? I feel like we should do something special for the listeners that donate, though. So, like, I'm thinking we should maybe, like, put their name on the website or something. What you think?
Yeah, we should. Maybe we shout them out in the episode. Thank you so much for that contribution, yo. Yeah, I don't know why I said it like that.
I said it like that. Yeah, I don't know either. But, I mean, it was okay. So, yeah, if you want to be, I guess, shouted out and have your name placed on our prestigious website, you can donate to us because we appreciate it. Help us pay for editing and whatnot.
Okay.
All right. So this episode, we will be talking about the best man holiday. Oh, that's your reaction?
I don't know why I did it like that. That's such an auntie response. It was sad. So sad. Why'd you make me go through this traumatic movie?
It wasn't me. See, I wanted us to be joyous and giggly and watch Friday After Next, but our wonderful listeners are subjecting us to this pain and voted that we do Best Man Holiday.
I had to watch watch Queen Latifah get shot up, blued up, and then now... and now I gotta watch Mia just die a slow, painful death.
It did look, coughing up blood doesn't look like fun.
It does not. I was like, yo, I forgot about this.
And then they said that she died Christmas night. So then my question was, did she die in Morris Chestnut arms?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. You hadn't thought about that. I'm sorry.
I need a drink.
So yes, this movie takes us through lots of relationships, grief and loss, discussions of fertility in the Black community, health in the Black community, friendship, just lots of things, all of the things.
All of the things. It really does go there. And so it's interesting because it is listed as a rom-com drama. I can see the I can see the comedy in this, you know, especially with Terrence Howard. What's his name?
Quentin
Q and his random one-liners that just kind of take the moment from being so sad to actually having a little relief of comedy. So shout out to Terrence Howard for being the comic relief in this movie because, honey, we needed it.
Oh, I'm so glad. And they put it in good places too. Like you would be like in full ugly cry.
Okay.
And then something funny would happen. You'd be like, oh, thank goodness.
Listen, I got my lashes done when I watched this movie, and
that was just a bad idea. I don't know why.
It was. I was like, I just got my. So you know, you can't get them wet, and like even you try. They tell you not to sweat, and if at all, try not to cry, or you're gonna lose a lash or two. So I'm sitting here watching this. My eyes are welling up, and I'm like, nah, you just paid for these. Don't you do it? So, like, do you watch Housewives of Potomac?
Not recently, but yes. So I'll know who you're talking about. I won't know what happened.
Candace, when she folds her little napkin and she dabs her eye, that was me watching this because, honey, if and I had to put my head back.
So it wouldn't run towards the lash?
Yes. That's how, like, I did this several times during this movie. There were, like, so many little, like, you know, tearjerker moments in this, but
we'll get to all of them. But before we do, please tell, what are your quotes?
Okay. So I don't know why this stood out to me as much. Like I definitely didn't realize it the first couple of times, because this isn't the first time that I've watched Best Man Holiday, right?
Right.
But of course, when you're coming from a lens where it's like, okay, I'm looking at this, I'm critiquing this in a different perspective from a DSM standpoint. And one thing that stood out to me was when Stan, in the beginning of the movie, Stan is, I guess, like the book publishing manager.
I liked him too.
And his line was, "Exploit your friend for capital gain. This is America." And like,
you didn't say all of it.
I was like, oh shit.
He was like, bios, they're not really my thing. He's like, fuck your thing.
Fuck your thing. He had the best lines. Honestly, I think that's where the comedy is in almost that entire scene where he is like, get your shit together, get something. And like, he's just like straight up. Like you haven't been on Twitter since Barack Obama was in office for Senate. I was like, okay. And then he's like, not black people smart.
Oh.
I was like, I'm not gonna go there with this. Don't go there with this, Rosie. Don't go there. Don't, like, I'm gonna do it like white people. What? Don't make it about race. And so I'm not gonna make it about race. But I do have something to say about race.
Okay.
As it relates to what US Today had to say about Best Man Holiday.
Ooh, girl, did you do research? Okay, tell me. What did you have to say?
Let's do research. Okay. So what US Today had to say actually about Best Man Holiday, they actually said it is a race-themed Christmas movie. And I just really didn't like the fact that they had a race-themed Christmas movie. Like, can it just be a Christmas movie?
I don't know why we even talk about USA Today. I don't give a fuck what USA Today think about Black films.
Well, I think it's interesting that that's what they had to say, because Best Man Holiday like beat Thor: The Dark World for a top box office spot on that day. And actually on the second day, they did even better with this movie. So I think it's worth noting that this Black film did very well in the box office. And, a lot of times, a lot of Black movies don't get the credit they deserve. So I just want to say congratulations, Best Man, for beating Thor.
Yes, I can second that notion. And I definitely feel that Black film has continued again and again and again to disprove the myth that Black film doesn't do well, and that it won't do well overseas, and why it just doesn't perform well in the box office. We continue to debunk that myth regularly with films, but yet we still aren't getting them to the level of which I feel like we should. And so, again, part of the reason why we even started this podcast is to give these films, these sitcoms, their flowers, because they deserve them. These films don't always get the recognition that they deserve. They don't always get the praise and the celebration that they deserve. And so if we can bring highlight to them in our little goofy way, I'm more than happy to do so. And hopefully that also encourages you guys to go back and watch these films, so that we are continuing to show our support. We're continuing to say that this is what we want to see. We want to see ourselves in films and sitcoms. We want to see our stories. We're not a monolith. And so we need diversity in our stories as well. So that's why we're here. So yes, I agree with your point, even though USA Today, fuck your thing.
And there is that. So moving right along, my next favorite quote was, of course, the awkward interaction between Jordan and Robin. And so Jordan says, like, "Hi, how's it going in there?" And he's like, "It's going great." And she goes, "That
is going to be a big baby."
And it goes on for so long, and everybody's faces.
It's like, okay, move on. That is like that corporate, that's that corporate type of laugh. Like, when they say something uncomfortable in the boardroom and they just laugh and everybody's just like, okay, that's exactly that. That
reminds me of the laugh when the corny boyfriend, remember the Mo Money episode, and the corny boyfriend was telling the terribly racist jokes, and he was laughing. That's what that reminds me of.
Exactly. Corporate laugh. Like when they laugh, don't worry, they laugh at their own jokes. You don't have to be in on it. It's cool. Like
she was really the only one laughing.
She was, and she was okay with it.
For so long.
For so long. And then I didn't write it down because it was such a lengthy quote when Shelby talked about the mic and how
no one agreed with her. Like, yes, okay, yeah, you gotta
mic check 1 2
the mic, but she said some other stuff. You're like, whoa, ma'am, no one said that.
I was like, wow. She's probably using a grapefruit somewhere, maybe. Well, the world may never know.
Well, I mean, we heard Julian say that she rocked the mic the best, so.
She did say mic check 1 2 1. Oh, Lord.
I don't know why it stood out to me, but I like it when Q is talking to Harper, and he's basically like, yeah, this is all the stuff you got going. Your marriage is in shambles. You're financially in ruin, and you got low sperm count. And Tay Diggs is like, I have low sperm count. He's like, don't lie to Santa. I feel like that's going to be my line from now until Christmas.
Don't lie to Santa. But my other line that I do like when he says, but before anything, just do me a quick favor. Call me daddy. I love it. I love it.
I wanted to see if he was really going to do it. Like
I did too. I held my breath. I was like, don't call that nigga daddy. Don't do it. Don't do it.
And then my other quote is just so random. But you know how Morris Chestnut finds self. Whew. Just so fine. Okay, so Lance was on the phone with Mia during the game, and he's listening to what she has to say to get him focused or whatever to go and break the record. If you listen closely, one of the fans is like, hey, shit, you don't know what's going on in that man's life.
That is the exact reaction I had in my head too. Oh my, I'd never heard that before listening to it. I mean, watching it again recently. That's so crazy that you heard that.
He's dying. Wife is on the phone.
That's so sad because when fans are the most selfish people in the world, hardcore fans for sport, anything, they're so selfish. Like, if my team is not winning and you're not doing what I want you to do, fuck your life.
Your whole life and everything.
Your whole life.
And get off the phone, man.
And get off the phone.
All right. I just thought, too, that, like, the very beginning of the movie, like, the opening credits were super smart. And even we talked about all of the emotions that were in the movie. I felt like even the opening credits were very emotion evoking just because like it took us back to the last movie. It reminded us of like these characters who we already know and have like relationships with and understand what goes on with them. And so we were able to like revisit the past, get the context of everything going on, and then get caught up on what they have been doing throughout the years. So I thought that was like super smart. Shouts out to the producers. And so we come into the film and we have like just a continued catch up on what is going on with everything. So basically Harper's career is struggling and him and his wife are expecting a baby after bouts with infertility. Jordan's career is doing all of the things that we knew it would from the last movie. She's just moving and shaking and being awesome. But we find out that she has a new interracial relationship with Brian McDonald.
McDonald, yeah. B-Mac.
B-Mac.
B-Mac?
Yes. Brian McDonald. Like to ski in Vermont with my devices.
I hate you so much.
I
Get
like
out of my
dating
office.
chocolate girls.
But Julian Birch is in education. He's leading a school with his wife, Candy. real name Candace, who went by Candy in the previous movie and her past career endeavors. But a video resurfaces of her back in her stripper days, possibly receiving payment for a service that she was going to provide from some young college boy. And then Q is being Q. Shelby is a real housewife, which I thought was very fitting. Right. And then Lance is on the brink of breaking the all-time rushing yard record and his retirement from his successful NFL career. And then we don't know what's going on with Mia, but we just see that she is inviting everyone over for a Christmas weekend. And then the movie ensues.
So, random fact, there was supposed to be a third film, of course, as we know, when the way it ends, Terrence... I'm sorry. I want to call him Terrence Howard every time. Quentin Q gives everybody a phone call and gives them an update about there being a wedding. And so there was going to be a third wedding titled Best Man Wedding. And it was announced in 2014 and set to be released in 2016, but was put on a hold since then. And so I wonder.
So it's just on hold? Like it's just still in the...
And yeah, it was placed on hold indefinitely. Yeah. And I wonder if you know how it feels.
I don't know why. Like I saw that coming and I don't know why I just let it happen.
And you gave me this space and this is why I love you. You just allow me to be myself. But I wonder, if they're going to take this hold off and bless us with a gift during this hard, hectic time.
It would be lovely. I doubt it happens anytime soon because of COVID.
I know.
Yes, but I think that they need to make sure that they put the same level of writing into it as they did this one, because this one was so layered. It was really smart, not just black smart. But it was really well written. I really enjoyed that aspect of the film, on top of seeing these actors that we see everywhere, because there's some heavy hitters in this film, and seeing them be different. Because I don't know a film where I've seen Morris Chestnut cry before, cry like that. I couldn't think of one. I did enjoy seeing Morris Chestnut. I felt like Lance Stevenson. I mean, not Lance Stevenson. That's the basketball player. Sorry, guys. Lance Sullivan is what Ricky could have been had he not died. And so when he was playing, they were showing a little, I was like, run, Ricky.
Your future is ahead of you.
It looked just like his little highlight tape. He wanted to show the recruiter.
Listen, so one thing that I was really, really kind of thrown off about this movie was you hear Best Man Holiday. You're like, this is a Christmas movie. But I just didn't feel like I was in the Christmas spirit after watching this. Would you agree, or did you don't?
You know what? I feel like all Christmas movies need, unless they're in LA. Christmas movies need snow. Where was the snow?
There was a little bit on the bushes, on
that was
spray
snow.
Okay,
but Mia's interior decorator did that. I won't.
The lights. The light and the decorations in the home were beautiful.
I mean, the title says Best Man Holiday, but when I think about this movie, do I just think about Christmas? No, not at all. So I was surprised that the listeners chose this one. Granted, both of the movies that we picked are Christmas movies, kinda. They're Christmas-ish. So, I did not get the holiday spirit, but I did want to give a special shout out to this movie and highlight my hometown, because all of the football scenes were filmed at the Buffalo Bills facilities.
Yes.
A couple surrounding area scenes were from Western New York. So shout out to the city, shout out to the town for being all in the movie. I just, always feel a way that they can use our facilities, but they can't use our team. I get it. They wanted a winning team. We were struggling back then, but we're better now. We're better.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, there was a slip up. There's a scene where you can actually catch the Buffalo Bills logo in there as well. So.
I know, because they were at the Ralph. That's what we call it. I'm not calling it the New Era Stadium. It's the Ralph.
It's the Ralph.
It's the Ralph. If you come visit, I'll take you to the Ralph.
Okay, cool.
The signs will say New Era. Well, no, they're going to say something else now, too, because stuff doesn't last here long. But we're still the Ralph. Anyway, Big Buffalo, we was in there. Moral of that story.
In other news.
Okay, so I did have a question, and I wanted to ask you. I haven't thought about this myself either, so it's going to come off the head.
What is it? What is it?
Lance's principles were God, family, football, in that order. Like Mama D said, in that order. Okay, so in that order, it was God, family, football. What would Dr. Rosie B's 3 principles be?
Wow. On the spot, why don't we? That's a deep question. And then they were just spouting it off like it was something easy to come up with. I mean, so immediately education, family, love. I don't know. Love. Why did it take so? That was not as sexy as it was on in the movie. How about for you?
Okay, so while you were thinking, I was thinking as well. And I think that I have come up with, now this is just flying off the top. I don't have people writing for me.
Right, okay.
Like they did. But I guess I would go with family. So that's friends and family all in one.
Good one.
I feel like my chosen family has played an important part as well as my actual family. So I'll say family, spirituality, and growth. In that order.
I don't like mine. I'm like education. Like what?
I mean, that's been important for you though.
Yeah, I guess so. It was a method of survival. That's another episode. Anywho.
Yes, school is my safe place. I also wanted to highlight the fact that Lance is like coming off of a successful NFL career. Mm-hmm. And like they're talking about how it's important for how he could use this time. Well, Jordan is when she's trying to backdoor Mia into following along with Harper, really talking about how this could be a pivotal moment for him to kind of tell his story. And I think that a lot of times we don't always think about the mental health of athletes. Mm-hmm. And I was really surprised to hear like Lance, especially the growth from the last film, when they're interviewing him at the beginning of the movie. And he's like, I love football, but it's my job. It's not life or death. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't know, what all was going on during that time. But to hear him say that and compare that to how he was in the first movie, I was like, he's grown. Okay, so he'll have a successful, healthy transition out of sport, because for a lot of athletes, if they still view themselves solely as an athlete, they're more susceptible to substance abuse, friction in their interpersonal relationships, suicidal ideation, depression, all of those negative things, because they have not spent enough time building their own identity and who they are as a person, aside from just in the job of an athlete. And so I was happy to see that he had some sense of who he was, just hate that it had to happen as it rolled out throughout the film. Mm-hmm. So Harper and the baby and all of that. Do you feel like the movie did a good job or introducing like the topic of infertility in our community?
Okay. So the first couple times watching it, I didn't pick up on the infertility issue. It looked from my perspective, it looked as though the perspective was coming from Robin that she wasn't able to carry the child because she, miscarried the last time. And, he was really concerned about her being on bed rest. And so it seemed as if the pregnancy failure wasn't necessarily hit on him. It was because she wasn't doing what she needed to do, and then lost the child, at a later term. And so it wasn't until you pick up on like the side conversations that you really start to understand, oh yeah, like he actually had fertility issues. So, and that's why when they're in the bed, that scene is so important, because she's like, I've been really positive. I've been trying to be, supportive of you, but I need support too. And it's like, I think that like recently was when I made the connection and the importance of that conversation that they're having in the bed, because it's like, I'm not just responsible for what happened as well. Like, so that's how I saw it. I didn't really understand that it was his infertility was what played a part until watching it a couple times after.
Yeah, it sounded like they kind of both had some different, like with her being able to carry full term and then him. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if that was something that was always the case, or if that didn't arise until after they lost the first one. So yeah, it was a lot. It was, and I did appreciate too that they had a Black OBGYN. That's something that I am always advocating for myself and my friends to seek out. And if you don't have, if there aren't any Black OBGYNs in your area, or somebody that you want to seek services from, looking at someone who understands and will listen to you. And when you have those complaints, or you have concerns, or you even have questions, they value those, they answer, they listen, and just respect you as an individual, because it is a serious issue in our community with doctors not listening to us. Mm-hmm. And so I was just real happy. I was like, oh, okay, they have a Black OBGYN. Maybe she will live during pregnancy, because like it's genuinely a fear for women, especially now that we have more access to information and are hearing how prevalent it is. It can be scary.
Yeah. I've heard a few scary stories myself personally, where women have been mistreated or not heard while giving birth, or, just routine checkups, and I think it's so important that we see ourselves represented in our healthcare system as well, because, there's still literature out there in their nursing, like in nursing textbooks, that says Black skin is tougher, that Black women can handle more pain, have a higher pain tolerance. And so, all these things are still out there. And so we do need to see ourselves in the system that's not necessarily made or established for us.
Exactly. And like you said, they assume that we have a higher pain tolerance. I have a no pain tolerance. So if I'm even uncomfortable, right. Let alone pain,
right.
There'll be problems.
Yeah, honey, because they will keep pushing you until that you say Uncle Tom.
Right. And I think too that sometimes all of us, not just women, but women and men of all cultures, you have a certain level of respect for your doctor, and you feel like they know what they're doing. And so sometimes if they say, well, no, this is just something, small, and I understand that you're in pain, but this is just whatever, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's the doctor. They should know. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it really takes for people to have to advocate for themselves. And so that's important across the board for whoever it is, to make sure that you advocate for yourself. And if you feel that something is not okay, something's not right, something doesn't feel right, that you feel comfortable with speaking up for yourself. Mm-hmm. And you might be saving your own life.
That's right.
It's a little heavy, so I guess we'll go on.
That's just the message for today. Take that, write that down.
I feel like there's several in this film, but we'll go on to Jordan's white boyfriend. How do you feel about that? Is it the same for like when he get on, he gonna leave your ass for a white girl? Like she got on, she up there now, and now she a white man. Is it the same connotation of like successful Black individual obtains a certain level of success and they get a white partner?
I don't think that fits for Black women as much as it does for Black men, because it's been a history of, showing that Black men typically would marry white women that showed their success, and Like that became like the kind of like stereotype, you know, that perpetuated throughout our community, that if a Black man marries a white woman, that he felt that was a level of success, and that may not be true, you know, for a lot of men who end up in a relationship with someone of a different race.
Do you know, so that same stereotype applies to Black women though, because also like women, we have like the gender gaps, the different, the pay gaps and all of those things. And now women are obtaining higher and higher level positions in different organizations, different companies, and are achieving higher level of success across the board. While there were always successful women, let's not get that twisted, there now are more representative as the world is opening its eyes to the dumb stuff that they was doing before. And so now that there are more, do you think that stereotype will now apply to both?
No, because I think it's high time that Black women need to be loved in general, period. Period, poo. Like I feel like Black women have not been loved. We are like the most ignored, racial group when it comes to a lot of things. And, even when it comes to attractiveness, there was a research study that showed that Black women were ranked the lowest when it came to attraction for men of different races and ethnicities. And so it just goes to show like we have a hard fight out here, even when it comes down to being loved. And so get yours, girl. All right. If he love her, get that love. If he love you, get it. Take that shit. Okay. Because it's real hard. And we're not winning in a lot of these other areas. So if you could win in the case of love, win for all of us, sis. God bless.
Just making sure you done. And yeah, to all of that you said, it was still funny when Shelby called him Robin Thicke. Oh, that was funny to me.
But honey, but hey, and here is an additional piece to that message that I just laid on you, ladies. Make sure he Robin Thickish, okay? Because
oh no, Robin Thickish.
Because if he ain't Robin Thickish, it's a waste, all right? And then what? We don't have nothing to show for nothing.
Well, while we talking about fine men, can we talk about how grown Morris Chestnut is and it's still just as fine?
Oh my gosh.
As long. He was being mean and he looked fine. He was being kind and he looked fine. He was being quiet and he looked fine. He looked good in a suit. He looked good in the pads. He looked good in his pajamas. He looked good shirtless. He just looked good.
Yes, he did. And then especially he got me when he hit that ground. That's when I text you. When he hit that ground, when he was crying, I said, no, not Morris. It's okay. It was sad.
So 100% transparency. I remember going when the film first came out. And so, of course, I follow or friends with just a bunch of just horrible, terrible, just terrible people on Facebook. And they basically said, you're going to cry. It's going to be terrible. Like they basically, let it out before I went to go see the movie. So the whole time I'm like, well, everybody said I'm going to cry, so I'm not going to cry. I already know it's going to happen. I'm not going to cry.
And I'm not going to cry.
And that's exactly what I thought. And then when they zoomed in on his hand and that hand got to shaking, and I said, oh, is that a thug tear? I feel it coming. Oh, let me look up so it won't fall.
Right, see?
And then he fell and I said, oh.
That was the part. Again, I had to put my head back. I said, no.
It's too much. He said, she can't go. She can't go. Said, oh, Morris. I stopped calling him Lance at that part. Then he was Morris again. He was just Morris. Like, oh, Morris. And then that's a real friend. If you see me shaking, you come catch me. Don't you let me hit this.
Okay, and they hit that slow motion run. I got you.
But Morris was too happy and he couldn't really hold him, so they both just felt like
so sweet though. It was so sweet.
He tried.
He tried. Him try.
Even the character, just Lance Sullivan, is just a damn amazing. Like this man, he then delivered a breech baby.
Listen,
His car.
I said I'm through.
His wife's funeral.
I'm through with Hollywood. I say y'all did too much with that. He came out the car holding a baby.
But it wasn't even a different day. That was the same day. He left his wife's repast to drive him.
And he came out the car as smooth as he want to be. Right.
Got it away.
Smooth as he wants to be. Talking about it's a girl. Yeah. I would have been stressed. Talking about I delivered I was there when I had 4 of my children. And that doesn't mean... What you mean?
I watch First 48. That don't mean I can investigate a murder.
Okay, baby. I watch Law and Order day and night while I'm going to sleep. That does not make me a crime scene investigator.
I have watched every episode of My 600-Pound Life. Let me do this little surgery for you.
I was like, I would never. That is not a good enough excuse. And then speaking of children, Morris Chestnut children did not look like they were actually his. Okay.
They didn't look related. The daughter who was like the most talented person in the whole movie. The girl could act, could sing, could play, could be.
Yeah, maybe perhaps.
Might have been his.
But the other 3, I'm like, Mia, girl, you got a story to tell? Because I'm too.
Look, we know she can keep a secret, child.
And then poor Shelby's baby. What was her name?
Girl, I don't even know. I don't even remember her name. I gave her a full diagnosis and I can't even remember.
Oh, Kennedy. I think her name is Kennedy.
It was. You right.
And I'm like, I was like, oh my God, I would hate to have a mom like her.
Okay, can we talk about her and Regina's Halls? Shelby and Candace's interaction.
Yeah.
Ain't no, like, we would have got it popping at the New Edition little karaoke stuff, because you're not gonna throw no drawers at my husband. You're not gonna throw no panties.
Talk about girl, they're
ain't
clean.
Nobody throwing their panties at my husband but me.
Girl, we would have had a showdown.
Then it happened then.
Right then.
Regina Hall dealt with a lot. And I was like, she really changed her life. She was, out here sucking dick for dollars and having a strip and, all them different things. And she's putting up with this woman. She has really had a full turnaround. She done gave her life to the Lord and is living right. And this woman is trying her. Look at the devil, just always busy. But then she had to come across her. It got to the point she couldn't take it no more.
At some point, you got to let them know, I'm not the one to fuck with.
Yeah, but I didn't swallow dick for tips, you dirty skank. Yes, you did, you lonely, miserable bitch. It's called fucking alimony. Oh my God.
And she must have thought, Shelby must have thought that she could have fucked with this one.
I'm just saying, no, she ain't whooped Shelby's ass though. Like it was a good little squabble.
It was a good squabble.
Shelby done had all that practice because Real Housewives be beefing. So
they do. So she was ready. But the way Candace muffed the shit out of her.
Fucking alimony. Oh my.
I was like, damn.
It needed to happen.
It did. And so I was happy it happened. But I was like, no, I was trying to give her like tips. And I was like, fight.
Uppercut, Candace. They got the rolling around arm bar.
So I'm just like, damn, like, and I was going to ask you that question. I was like, so who won the fight?
I mean, Candace connected more.
She did. So, I mean, technically in boxing rules, she would have won because you get more points for more land.
And then hood rules too. Candace was giving face shots. Shelby was like boxing. She was throwing body. When she was on top of her, she was hitting her in the body.
She was, yeah.
I mean, hood rules, I guess, you go for the face.
But you gonna feel them body shots.
You know how chicks get the, beefing in the stripper in the locker room. So
right.
She know that's the
she
money.
Knew,
you go for the money.
You go for the face. Bow, 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 bow. Courtney, when was the last time you was in a fight? Girl, I can't remember the last time I was in a fight.
I can remember the last time I was in a fight because I had to do community service afterwards. It wasn't.
Oh, shit.
They didn't say they was the police when they came and tackled me. I thought I was getting jumped. So I kept fighting.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
But, that's not one of my proudest moments. So anyway, I wanted to know your opinion
on the next episode of DSM. Okay, what were you going to ask me?
Shelby's outfits were trash, every single one of them. Her weren't that great either. I said, how's she the real housewife? And she looked terrible.
But that's the irony. Like some of them do be looking terrible. And then back in the day, honey, you look at them real, like the Atlanta Housewives seasons, look
at them wigs,
baby.
Ooh, look at them wigs.
Ooh, chat. And the makeup too. The makeup. So I think that kind of is iconic, like ironic that she looked like that and she was a housewife.
Point taken. I did want to ask, you being in academia, and Candace is head of admissions at the school that they, I guess, started, own, operate, whatever it is their positions are. Did you feel that tape resurfacing from 1997 was grounds for the investors or the philanthropists to not donate their money anymore?
No, I think that is just, and that's where, again, I'm like, damn it, Hollywood, here you go. You reach, you grab something, you're like, that sounds great. But it doesn't make sense in real life. So it's just like, I think there needs to be more context to that type of decision, to withdraw money before, and then how did you get the tape and blah, blah, blah. Like,
here's Howard. Well, Quentin asked that question. He said, how did you find this? Is he a porn?
So it's just like, okay, you're bringing me this tape, but how did you get it? And what is your reason? So you saw this happened years ago. It has nothing to do with who she is now. And I think that does I would take him to court for something like that. I mean, I don't know if I would really have grounds, but it's just like,
but I do it.
But I do it because it sounds shady. Like, it sounds like discriminatory in a sense, like previous work life or whatever. Like, just get out my business. It's not whatever. I don't care. That you're not donating to me. You're donating to the children who I'm educating at this point and at this juncture in my life. Get out of here.
Well, to take it back to the fights, because I just need to make this one point. Don't you ever use the monkey paw on me.
Monkey paw.
Monkey paw. You don't use the monkey paw.
No monkey paw. Take your hat. Screaming monkey. You call it something? I see a monkey all over your ass. Y'all mess up my saddle monkey, gonna be monkey paw on your asses back to the house.
They were so serious about that.
What is a monkey paw? I'm a monkey paw the shit out of you wants to learn it.
He acting like airbenders. I said, what is going on?
I'm like, wow, is this how I'm going to fight with my friends in the future? Cool. When we're adults, they're older people.
I feel like they still feel that way too, though. Because I feel like your college friends, like, yeah, your friends from like childhood, you always remember them. You always have those relationships with them. But I feel like your college friends, it's a different kind of friendship.
It is.
I don't want to put a quantity on it saying that it's deeper, but it's just different.
I think it's more playful in nature. Like, I feel
I don't know about theirs. They was fucking each other's wives and beating each other up and all types of wild shit.
Well, I mean, playful in a way that you can joke about stuff like that after a while. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's like, if y'all friends, like, eventually the hard stuff, you're like, damn, that really hurt me at the time. But then you could find a space to laugh about it. You could laugh at the stuff once it's gone. Like, once you've healed over it, you're like, haha, I couldn't laugh at it then. It's kind of funny now, type thing. I don't know.
So you feel like Lance should forgive Harper?
To an extent. I didn't expect when the way he came at him when they first walked in the house, I didn't expect that. That was like, whoa. Like, damn.
You still on that?
Yeah. Like,
you said, it was 20 years ago, man.
Yeah, like, seriously. Because I'm like, shit. Phew. hi. I thought you like if you're gonna invite me here, can you at least be a little nicer? So and you know, what's her name? Ryan or what's her name? Ryan, child. Robin looked at him with a side eye, like, damn. If you ever peep it, like, shit.
She even said it. She was like, yeah, Lance was giving you a hard time.
Yeah. So it's like, why invite me if you're going to still hold on to that? But anyway, I just feel like at a certain point, you have to have the hard conversation with your friends, you know, because you're friends. Like, you can't just let it sit there and just and eventually you're going to miss them. You're going to want. So like, if it does take years, okay, so be it. But they should have had a talk. I think Harper was out of line just showing up without at least trying to talk or reach out to him beforehand and, you know, try to figure something out and how things are going to be when he gets there. And if he should even be there. You get what I'm saying? That's where I would have came from as a friend. Like, yo, we haven't talked in years. So can we just like kind of catch up at some point before all this? See where we feel
like he should have did that, even though Mia like requested their attendance several times in different forms, like email, mail, UPS.
Yeah, well, at that point, it's like, okay, damn, all right, something's up.
Yeah, I was surprised why they didn't feel like something wasn't up.
Right, because I don't email my friends. And if you get an email from me as a friend, we corresponded on some business. I shouldn't have to ask you to be like, hey, you coming this weekend through an email? Absolutely not.
And that was one thing that Jordan was upset about too, when she was saying like, no, Mia has been trying. She calls, she emails. I'm just always too busy. So I guess she had been trying to reach out to them and get everybody together for a while. And she did tell Lance like that was one of her last wishes was she felt like he needed Harper. They needed to forgive each other. And baby, when she took that wig off and looked like Ebony from Players Club, said, well, you got to do it now.
But she is a beautiful woman, though.
Yes, she is.
I just love her.
They are. Everybody in the movie was fine.
I think, like, from the original Best Man, a lot of their careers blossomed after the original Best Man. You know, like when you think about Love and Basketball, who else had a movie after this?
There's a lot. It would take us a really long time to name.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't even do that on the top of my head. Let me not even try.
Okay, so one last thing before we jump into Diagnosis. I just wanted to highlight the seriousness that they took in that Can You Stand the Rain performance. And I just want to remind everybody that one, Harold Perrineau is a Broadway actor, and he's been in the Fame the Musical. And don't forget that Terrence Howard played Jackie Jackson. So he know how to do a little 1-2 step in the
really wasn't in the
formation.
He wasn't in the film though. Like if you look at it, they kind of angle him out a little at times. Watch it again.
Nuh-uh, girl, because he had them tassels on, and I was like, why does he have tassels on his wrists? And them things was smacking him. And
I hated his wardrobe, but that's another conversation. I hated it.
They did dress him like Lenny Kravitz.
Okay, like, where did they got his clothes from? Like the trash. God.
Okay, so Diagnosing, I guess we'll go through each one.
Wait. Fun fact about that actually, Can You Stand the Rain scene? The women didn't know that what song they were going to dance to. They knew that they were going to dance, but they didn't know the song. So their actual reaction were genuine, like sincere. The recording of their reaction.
Because when Sanaa Lathan said, "Oh shit," I said, "That's real." That sounds real. He must have did something. He didn't know that he was going to do.
And you can just at the reactions are just genuine as they want to be, and then it's just like the question does come to mind: when did y'all find time to practice this? Because
it was scheduled, pre-production. They had to.
I was like, wait. Right. Okay. Anyway, so moving along.
Okay. So we will list our diagnosis as we work through each couple. And so we'll look at each couple. And then if we have diagnosis for that individual, we can give them then. And as well as if we were there, as much as I know you love couples counseling, work through them, working with them as a couple, or if you feel like they just need an individual, what we would do individually. So did you have a diagnosis for Robin or Harper?
I had a diagnosis for Harper. And so lately I've been going into the other conditions of the DSM because it's been really hard to like give like other diagnosis to some of the characters. So, I mean, originally I'm like, okay, Harper, it has major depressive disorder, but I realized that he didn't meet a lot of the criteria for that. So other than that disorder, I have occupational problems because he was let go from NYU and then his book not doing well. But that's about it for him.
All right. So for me, for Harper, I also noticed, the pain that he was experiencing from the loss of the baby. And I viewed that as post-traumatic stress from the loss, from the miscarriage of the first child that they were going to have. And so for PTSD, the following criteria apply to adults, adolescents, and children older than 6 years old, and have to include exposure to, make sure I got it right. Yeah. Exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence in one of the following ways. His would be witnessing in person the events as it occurred to others. The presence of intrusion symptoms associated with the traumatic event. And I have that as the recurrent involuntary and intrusive distressing memories of the traumatic event. He kind of brought up a lot that the fact that they lost the baby and wanting her to do things a certain way because of it, as well as the marked physiological reactions to internal or external cues that symbolize or resemble the aspect of the traumatic event. And so I was wondering if he didn't have the low sperm count before they lost the baby. And that was a physical reaction with his stress of losing the first baby, if that was part of that. And then we also have the avoidance of efforts to avoid external reminders that arouse distressing memories, wanting her basically to sit down, stop working, you're doing the most, like cut it out, girl, you act like we ain't been through this already. The negative emotions being the persistent distorted cognitions about the cause or consequences of the traumatic events, saying that it was because she was on her feet and she was working too much, and problems with concentrating. And I said that is why he was having the writer's block and the issues with the books, is because he couldn't fully devote himself back into writing the way that he wanted to because the distress of losing the baby. Thoughts?
Well, okay, so I do have a thought. Well, why not major depressive disorder if he has... So the reason why I only had 4 instead of the 5 that are needed for the criteria. So I had depressed mood, and I said depressed mood because he was of course having to deal with the loss of the last child, not being able to do well on his book, and losing his job. Feelings of worthlessness, again, not losing his job and his book not going well. Recurrent thoughts of Lance killing him is also a possibility. I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, he didn't have no recurrent thoughts of Lance killing him.
And diminished interest in writing, maybe, or like his diminished interest. I don't know.
And then, he still wanted to write. I feel like he still wanted to be successful. That was still his passion. I don't feel like he had the loss of interest in things that once he saw enjoyment in.
Yeah.
So that's why I was kind of like,
What do you think about indecisiveness? I was going to say the indecisiveness of him, like writing the biography. I don't know.
To me, that didn't feel like indecisiveness. It felt like
he just was where
Lance wasn't going for that shit because it was not in a good place.
Right. He didn't want to get his ass whooped. Again, going back to reoccurring thoughts of Lance killing him.
That weren't real.
But that's why I threw away the major depressive disorder idea. So I agree. I think you hit it. Who's our next couple?
So before we do that, if I was working with Robin and Harper as a couple, really, I feel like anybody that has to go through the in vitro process, if that is what, because he did say that like these fertility payments and stuff like that. So like if they are having to go through that process, I feel like all couples should have at least like 3 sessions for that, because that's a lot. And I feel like they definitely needed to maybe get a support group for maybe the miscarriage, but it definitely didn't seem like they processed the loss of that child together. And so it kind of impacted the trust that they have for each other. Like she was really upset when she saw him holding Jordan because of the trust issues from before. And so this whole process, I'm sure, did not make it any better.
Right. I'm worried about, of course, post-traumatic stress disorder. I mean, not post-traumatic, not prenatal, but after
postpartum depression.
Postpartum. Oh my God, I could not think of the word. Thank you. Postpartum depression. You know, as far as like her wanting to work until the very last minute of her pregnancy as a chef. I think that when she realizes that she's not able to work or, you know, to go back and do the thing that she's passionate about, may lead or contribute to that postpartum, but also just, you know, other factors, like because of how she responded to Jordan's relationship with Harper, I feel like she might have similar like insecurities, maybe body image wise, because when you listen back to how she described herself, I'm a whale, you know, and being concerned about her image may surface as another issue for postpartum. So I think about that for them as a couple, how that's gonna like play a role in their relationship. And then also like, you know, we also don't know if Harper told her at any point, or like if he will tell her that he took a loan from Quentin, and, you know,
well, hopefully he's in a position where he could pay that back, because at the very end, we do see that the book has come out. So that means that he did get a nice little check for that.
Yeah.
And they're about to start doing press and hopefully another advance on the next book. So hopefully that was something that was just to see them through type thing, because she also was down for taking the baby clothes and the car seats and all of that stuff. So I think that she was kind of like, let's just do this together. And I felt like that was, again, goes back to some of those trust issues. Like she broke his trust by telling Mia about the book. He broke her trust by not telling her that he had got fired from NYU. It was just a lot of like, they don't have strong trust to me. And that makes me nervous for their relationship. But them entering parenthood, hopefully they can build that in caring for their child. Not saying that children fix relationships, because they absolutely don't. If you have those same issues that you had before the kids, just amplified. So hopefully that's something that they could work on and get to a more secure place about. Next couple?
Yep.
Okay. So next up, let's do Candace and Julian.
Okay.
Did you have a diagnosis for Candace or Julian?
I didn't actually. So I just focused, because there were so many characters. I was like, I just need to focus on the ones that I feel like need it. So I didn't look at diagnosing them. So what do you have?
I didn't diagnose them, either one of them either. I just, if working with them as a couple, I definitely would want to work with them on communication.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because there was lack of communication about the past, about then him finding the video. And that's one thing that she was upset about. She said, I'm your wife, come to me first. Like that was something that they definitely could have handled together or discussed before. Like the rest of everyone else didn't even have to know about it.
Yeah.
Like, I whole had to whoop this bitch ass in these rich people foyer because you wanted to hide the video instead of just coming to talk to me about it.
Yeah.
So I understood her frustration, definitely. And I also felt like they lacked communication about intimacy because yes, he said that Shelby rocked the mic better. But when Candace was in the mood and she was, trying to be intimate with him in that way, he just like was thinking about how he wasn't with it, but he didn't say anything. And if I'm not rocking the mic, good, tell me so I could do it better. I need you to open up your mouth and say something.
Well, here's the thing. I think that the problem with their relationship is that Quentin was in love with Candy. And that
Julian. Quentin is
Julian. Ooh, child. Ooh, child.
I was about to say, you seen part 3? Is this something I don't know?
Okay, the part 3, I got dibs on it, child. I got dibs on it. So Julian Merch, he actually I feel like his love and his infatuation was with Candy. So when she gets into that sexy mode, you see her say, Candy's gonna
take care of you.
Yeah, right. So it's just like, okay. So then when he gets that image of who else could have loved her, I can understand why it was just like, it hurt him. And he didn't want to have to deal with the fact that someone else had her. Because that's what the video also insinuates in a way. So there's that male insecurity in a way that came out, which I think is definitely a problem because it's like, outside of who Candy is, like what are other things that make her attractive to you? Or I think that, to me, that seems like a problem.
I feel like they've been together too long for that. Like I could see that being the issue if that was always the issue, but it seemed like he didn't care. And like, that's the point I think that Quentin was making is that, well, you married a stripper. And because he kept reiterating, like, I don't care about that. Like, that's not what I care about. I don't care about that. It's this other situation. Like, I didn't know that, she was sucking dick for dollars. Like, I could feel like that perspective of it because that is something new. Like you're saying, his ego is, getting hit because that is something new. So he has to learn how to accept that, where I think he had already accepted Candy and they might have even played around. She might have been Candy on the weekends when the kids go to grandma's house. But I think that he had to accept that she was doing a whole nother level of something that he wasn't ready for. Like, but she said it was just that one time. I really needed that money. As we learned to set it off, like selling sex for emergencies only. So it must have been emergency. She was in a bind, Julian.
I'm in a bind. Oh my God. That is literally the only reason, okay?
It needs to be an emergency. And so maybe she handled her emergency and then, it was never a thing then. This is what it sounds like. And it sounds like once they were able to actually communicate and actually hear each other and express themselves to each other, that they expressed that, they understood that, and they were able to move forward. So I just would want to continue to work on communication with them.
I agree. Next.
Okay. Jordan and Brian. And Brian McDonald.
McDonald, yeah. B-Mac.
B-Mac.
B-Mac?
Yes.
Brian McDonald. Like the ski in Vermont with my devices.
I hate you so much.
I
Get
like
out of my
dating
office.
chocolate girls.
Okay, I could work with them. I think Jordan has a lot to come to terms with as far as like her love language and how she shows affection, because like it's like it took her for a minute to come to terms with the fact that she was in love with this man, number one. And then just her ability to show it, like, oh, that could have been sent as a text or an email, but he wants to come and see you in person. That may be your way of showing love, but accept his way of showing love, which I think is really hard, especially. So I can't say that it's really her fault. It takes time. And so they do look like a relatively newish couple. Like maybe they've been dating for the last couple of years or so. So that's what I would work on, is just love language with them.
I think that's a great point. That's one that I didn't even really come all the way to, because I thought so much of theirs, they need like those basic workshops of like premarital counseling. Like, I don't know if does he end up proposing? I know he ended up coming at the end and like being there for her, but I don't think it was a full proposal. No. But Mia was talking about them potentially getting engaged and all that good stuff. So I feel like they definitely would need that, because she has an intense fear of commitment.
Yeah.
It's something that I have gathered. And so they would need those basic tenets of what will life look like for us together? What will compromising look like? And I feel like that would be difficult for her to do, because that's not something that she's always had to do. And especially because she doesn't compromise in her professional life. She goes after what she wants. And that's like, even when she was giving Harper advice, she said, you just got to keep going. You got to do, brush off those journalistic skills and get it done. And with that being said, I did diagnose Jordan with obsessive compulsive personality disorder.
Oh.
And so that is a pervasive pattern of preoccupation with orderliness, perfectionism, and mental and interpersonal control at the expense of flexibility. I'm sorry, these words are getting all tangled up. Openness, as evidenced by being preoccupied with details, rules, lists, order, organization, or schedules to the extent that the major point of the activity is lost. Is excessively devoted to work and productivity to the exclusion of leisure activities and friendships. And there were two more. Reluctant to delegate tasks or to work with others unless they submit to exactly his or her way of doing things. Like, she even made the mock-up for Harper to make the book. Like, girl, calm down. And then the last one was shows rigidity and stubbornness. And it just made me think of the last movie when she was just so mad at him. Like, I'm ready to get it popping. I'm horny. My hormones are raging. And it was like, girl, if he didn't want it before, he definitely not going to want it now. What you yelling at?
I know.
Hard to concentrate.
Jeez. That's true. That is so true. I didn't think about that. I also think she has a thing still for Harper.
How long do you hold the torch for your college, like,
sweetheart? Crush? Yeah, right?
You hold that torch forever?
No. So you gotta let it go.
It's some that there are cuties from college where
I let go.
Not the ones that like that your boyfriend, because Harper and Jordan never really dated. But like the ones where they was just, and if you just had that chance.
Yeah.
Do you hold that forever? Or do you eventually, I think if I had to see them and I had to see them married, I could let that go. But if you're just away, I may think about it every once in a while.
I think it depends. It depends. Like, the length of time they had apart, like 14 years, I think with 14 years from being in college, would that change for me? I think so. I think it does burn out. 14 years, yeah. And then at this point, she hasn't let it go because she's still single, and like still single in a way, like she's dating, unmarried. And, it is a little, it would change. I'm sorry, I'll have to change it. Again, she should have let it go. Let it go, sis.
I agree with you. I think that she is like, she has made consciously the decision to let that go. I think she made that decision last movie. I just think sometimes, it's hard. And like, you still have love for this person. And you still have like, that attraction that might not go away, but that it's not, it's dead. So there's that. So I think that's what makes it the awkward.
Like
that's what makes it that.
Let it go. Just let it go. We have a whole new boo. We have a whole Robin Thicke over there.
All right. So Mia and Lance, heavy.
I gave Lance a diagnosis. again, from other problems related to primary support group. And I said, uncomplicated bereavement, where there's a loss of a loved one in the, like in the support group. So her being the mother, and wife, that's a difficult, type of bereavement, because then the dynamics change for the children. And, of course, that was his support as well. She was his support as well. So, and then I started thinking, like, looking at their age or guessing the children's age group. Do you marry again? Like, do you get support to help raise 4 children?
He can, just not to the one girl with the big old booty.
That's right, right?
Pocahontas hair.
Yes, and she smelled like this. So, I would see that happening because of the type of person that Lance seems to be a very passionate lover. And so he would need someone. I know. I mean, that's what it just seems like. I don't know. I don't imagine these things. I mean,
after New Edition, it made everybody want to get it popping, and him and Mia was having the set it off love scene. They was basically having the set it off love scene. He was about to take his chain and rub it down her booty. Listeners, if you haven't checked out our Set It Off episode, please go back and listen to the Set It Off episode.
You're missing gems. It all connects in some weird way. So yeah, I think he's gonna find a new love, and then that's gonna be his next hard or like milestone, if you will, or difficult hurdle, is like introducing this new person to the family and, trying to establish a blended family, especially now at his age. His partner would likely have a family of their own. And so I think about that, like his future in that way. I hope that he doesn't feel compelled to stay single and not date.
I almost gave him a diagnosis, but I decided not to. I almost diagnosed him with paranoid personality disorder because the criteria list suspects that their others are exploiting, harming, or deceiving him or her, preoccupied with doubts about the loyalty or trustworthiness of friends or associates, has recurrent suspicions regarding fidelity of spouse or sexual partner, reluctant to confide in others because of unwarranted fear that the information will be used maliciously against him or her. Like how he didn't want to do the media only knows what I tell them. How he was so upset, I let you into my home, and he smacked the hell out of Tay Diggs with that book in his mouth. He was very upset and felt betrayed. But then I really thought about it, and he only really felt that way about Harper.
Yeah.
And he was justified in those feelings. So he had a reason. And so I took that diagnosis away quickly. Yeah. And I just would want to work through the stages of grief with him, because it definitely feels like when Harper and him are talking in the kitchen and Harper first finds out that she has cancer, he's still in the bargaining stage.
Yes.
Because he's like, I really think that he feels if I retire now and I spend more time at home and we keep, praying and we have faith, you're going to witness this. We're all going to bear witness to this miracle.
Yeah.
And it really felt like he was really just trying to make that bargain with God. Like, if I do these things, then she'll get better. And so I think that he needed to just continued process grief counseling of working through those stages of grief, as well as for the children. But if the outcome did not happen the way that it did, working with them through infidelity and the end of life, grief and loss, they would need to meet separate and together for end of life. But that infidelity was a big thing, because when she did take the wig off and look like Ebony from Players Club again, she talked about how he had been so mad at Harper and he never directed that at her. And she was like, tell me how mad you are with me. I knew what I was doing. I knew it was wrong. And I'm sorry.
She said, I chose him. Oh, girl.
Let's see how he looked at her and he said, you chose him? I said, ooh, he just happened to go through the ring. Morris got to act with all his might through this movie.
She said, that's another part. Like, I'm like sitting here with tears in my eyes, like, girl, you chose him? Why would you say that to him? Like,
she dying and he can't hit her. Domestic violence is not funny. I'm sorry. That's not funny. Domestic violence is not a joke, guys. But I do feel like she was very more willing to be open and honest about certain things because
she was coming so close. Yeah.
She had reached full acceptance of the situation, I feel.
And he didn't. Mm-hmm. He was in denial. And I actually was going to say that I was going to give him, depersonalization, because it felt like he was in such a delusion as to what was going on. He didn't want to accept what was happening in his life. And he was so far from reality. And so, again, where he collapsed, where he was at the gravesite, I think that's when that impact hit him, where he realized, okay, no, this is, when you see the body go in the grave, that solidifies, like, this is it, you know? And so I think that moment is when his reality, like, it really set in. This is what my life is really. And so I think, yeah, I agree 100% with that bereavement and working through that bereavement, because there was that layer where he was really hopeful for something more, and that he wanted that Christmas miracle, you know. And I think as viewers, we wanted it too, in a way. Like, we're like, yeah, at the end, she's gonna be in the hospital,
but I definitely didn't think she was gonna die.
Right
on Christmas. And presumably in his arms in the bed that night. And that's what I feel like she told him on the phone. I feel like she told him, like, look, babe, I know how I feel right now. I'm not about to make it through the night. So I ain't gonna be able to watch another game. So you're gonna have to break this record tonight or not at all.
Right. Right.
They put me in the game, coach.
And she said, for Christmas, I want you to beat your record. That's what I want for Christmas. Because that's what she said. That's what Jordan asked when she was in the bed with her. What did you say to him? She's like, I just told him what I want for Christmas.
And I think, too, that played a part. Like, at the end of the day, he still was an athlete. And so he still was a high-performing athlete. And that he was still going to want the ball in the last moments anyway.
Yeah.
Like, once he got done being angry, he still was going to want the ball. And I think that's also how he was able to jump into action and help deliver the baby, is him being an athlete, him being able to compartmentalize certain things. And when it's game time, you got to go.
Why does he have to be so perfect in this movie, though?
Because it's Morris Chestnut, and when is he not?
That was what was sickening about it. But I mean,
was it sickening though? Was it?
Wasn't. I mean, I just wanted to vomit on his abs. How about that? Because you're sickening with all your perfection.
I do something with them, man. I ain't gonna vomit. I'll tell you that. No, okay. They're not really a couple, but I want to talk about Shelby and Quentin, and I want to work with them together, because in my mind, that's who he getting married to. They keep ending up in the bed in every movie. Talk about, why do we do this?
No. Who he's talking about is Jordan and Robin Thicke.
So he can't get married to both. What are you talking about, man?
He's saying he's getting that. He didn't say he was getting married. He said it's going to be a wedding. Didn't he say that?
Yo, girl, you can't even call the right names. I can't trust you on that one. He getting married to Shelby. That's what it is. So I diagnosed.
Well then.
I diagnosed Shelby with histrionic personality disorder. And we have talked about that disorder once before.
Mm-hmm.
But I can run through the criteria once again. It is a pervasive pattern of excessively emotionality and attention-seeking behavior, beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts as indicated by 5 or more. And she got about just all of them. So, is uncomfortable in situations where he or she is not the center of attention. Interaction is often categorized by inappropriate, sexually seductive, or provocative behavior. I mean, she did throw her panties at somebody else's husband. Consistently uses physical appearance to draw attention to self. Impressionistic and lacking in detail, self-dramatization, theatricality, and exaggerated expression of emotions. What were you going
Well, she definitely meets all of that criteria for sure. But wasn't she engaged?
She had been married before, and that's when she got mushed because she said, at least I wasn't sucking dick for dollars or something like that. And Regina Hall was like, yes, she was. Bitch, it's called alimony. Bopped her.
Wait, but wasn't her and what's his name a thing?
Julian?
Yeah, Julian.
Originally, yeah.
They were married or were they engaged?
They were engaged.
Okay, yeah. So she's just bitter about the fact that she took her man, basically.
That too, because she did say, "Can somebody please tell me why he chose this $5 hoe over me?"
Yeah. So, and that's why she makes it her day. Like, she's still a part of this friend group, right? So, like, just because they broke up, she wasn't going to be out of the picture, but because she's not out of the picture, and she is like part of this friend group now, like. Every chance I would get, I would say something slick.
True. I can give you that. But also, none of that justifies why she was on Flavor of Love, All Stars, Tongue Kiss, and Flavor Flav on national television.
That's true. I'm just giving a different perspective here.
No, and I understand that perspective. And I think that that is her justification for behaving the way that she does in this situation. Mm-hmm. And I think on the reality show, this gets ratings. So that's her justification for it there. Like, I feel like in her mind, she has reason for doing each thing that she does, but it's also a behavior pattern that is exhibited in multiple contexts. Mm-hmm. And then I diagnosed Quentin with borderline personality disorder.
Why?
I just had my reasons, I guess. A pervasive pattern of instability of interpersonal relationships, self-image, and effects, and marked impulsivity beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts. And I said that his were frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment, because we know that he lost his mother to cancer at the age of 13. And that might be why, and then his father just, started working to deal and cope with his pain. And so Quentin, then she even asked him, like, who's going to be around for you? And he was like, girl, I don't need that. Don't worry about me. Like, trying to eliminate the abandonment. A pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships, and characterized by alternating between extremes of idealization and devaluation. The women that he had just popping up in his phone and being like, well, this one a butthead, but and sending the dick pics and all of that stuff. Identity disturbance, markedly and persistently unstable self-image or sense of self. I think that his sense of self was often questioned when he was praying. He was like, but you made me like this, God. So that person was like, why am I like this? You made me this way. Mm-hmm. Affective instability due to marked reactivity of mood. And so, like, how he would get so angry with Shelby, and like they would end up like really, really arguing and yelling and screaming because both of those disorders counteracting. Granted, she did need to get yelled at about how she was treating that baby.
Yeah.
I also diagnosed her daughter. I diagnosed her daughter with disinhibited social engagement. Because like she went and hopped in the seat with that man and wiped that man tears. Girl, you only know him for a weekend. Stop touching that man face.
What that said to me was, thanks for sticking up for me. I got your back.
That, and she was just fine with playing with these kids that she had never met before. All of that. But the criteria for disinhibited social engagement disorder, which was what I gave for Shelby's daughter, Kennedy, is a pattern of, where'd it go? Yes, there it is. Reduced or absence resistance in approaching and interacting with unfamiliar adults. Overly familiar physical behavior or verbal that is not consistent with culturally sanctioned and age-appropriate social boundaries, willingness to go off with an unfamiliar adult or minimum or no hesitation. Like she just walked up to the girl who she was just fighting. Her mom was just fighting the other day. I was like, have you seen my mom? She told her, just go play Kennedy. And she was just like, okay. Like, poor Kennedy. And so I said that if Shelby and Quentin were to become a couple and I was to work with them, we would have to talk about both of their fear of abandonment, both of their issues with self-worth, and how to fight, like how to disagree with people, with each other in a healthy way, and their different views on child rearing. If they were a couple, is there anything that you would want to work with them on?
No, because they ain't a couple.
How we know that?
Because they can't stand each other. And it's actually, the next movie is going to be about Jordan's marriage to Robin Thicke.
No.
Oh my God, you're annoying.
I've been called worse by better.
Whatever. Anyways.
All right. So if you would like to support the show to help us get more content out to you all, you can follow the support the show link once you visit our website to become a Patreon member or donate with our Cash App, just like one of our recent donators did. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Now, we are happy to get the kind of money that jingles, but we would rather get the kind that folds. As always, be sure to subscribe to our show wherever you get podcasts and leave us a comment, because we are counselors and we actually care what you have to say. So until next time, peace.
Okay, bye.